Welcome back to News Conference. The Honorable Miguel Santiago is a member of the California State Assembly, a Democrat who represents downtown Los Angeles, Boyle Heights, parts of Koreatown. He's also chair of the Telecommunications Committee, I should say, for the Assembly. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you are also part of the Higher Education Committee, and as a result, you've introduced a piece of legislation that would make attending community college free for everyone for the first year, correct?
Correct.
Why?
Well, this is really important because if we can get individuals into a community college, we know that we can get them to sign up for the Pell Grants. We can get them to sign up for Cal Grants. And if somebody goes to school right out of high school, this becomes an entitlement program. So it's on its path to becoming a debt-free college experience.
Still, the community college system, and you were on the board of one, is the best deal in America. 45%, from what I understand, already attend without any kind of fee whatsoever. Why is it important to give a free ride to those who might be able to pay? And again, it's a reasonable amount per unit in the community college system.
Well, what's important about this really is capturing people who come to a community college and making sure, like I said earlier, that they get into these entitlement programs, because beyond a community college, you're going to go to a private school, a UC or a CSU, and if you're going to a UC system, it's about $30,000, $32,000 a year. If you're going to a CSU system, it's about $20,000. So this is the long road on how to make community college and college affordable.
Now, this is all part of a package called Debt-Free College, and it expands financial aid to deal with cost of living, correct?
Correct.
Why is that? And that'd be the first in the nation. And we should also point out that the state of California right now provides more for college education than any other state. And plus, according to most research, the students who graduate from the UC and CSU have less debt than most students than of any other state. So why is this important?
Well, the cost is still high. If it's over $30,000 to go to the UC system or $20,000 to go to the CSU system, it's going to be a challenge to meet the workforce needs. Now, we're going to need about 1 million certificates over the next several years, and we're going to need about 1 million bachelorettes over the next couple of years. And by and large, debt in college is a big challenge for students once they graduate. And so we want to figure out how to do this, and we have a four-pronged approach that we think will reduce debt and create the workforce that we need for tomorrow's economy.
Let's get into some of the details here. What is the principal element to this package of bills?
Well, it's in 4 different parts. The first one is free community college the first year. The second one is success grants. That means a student currently gets about $600 if you're in a community college for expenses. We want to increase that to about $1,300 so they can pay for parking, school books, etc. The next piece is preserving the middle class scholarship. And then the last piece is finding out a way to get the CSU and the UC system more dollars so that we're reducing the cost of the student. Now, this last piece is absolutely affordable. It's about $1.6 billion phased into 5 years. This first year would be about $320 million. So it's absolutely doable to reduce the cost of college for Californians.
Still, the governor says, listen, you're looking at a small but still nevertheless a budget deficit of $1 billion. Revenue has taken a hit. The governor says, listen, there's a recession around the bend at any time. Well, why is it so important to invest in this when it appears that the UC and the CSU is going to raise tuition because of a lack of investment from the state treasury?
Well, I think they're raising tuition for a variety of reasons. Yes, the cost of education is going up, but yes, it's also trying to increase the amount of students that are coming in. But by and far, we feel that if we're going to educate tomorrow's workforce, and I've said this a couple of times, we've got to make it debt-free, because when a student gets out of college and they have a tremendous amount of debt, it's a burden over the next couple of years to be able to pay that debt. And by far, we've got a responsibility to our young people to make sure that they get a quality and affordable education. This is by far one of the most boldest and aggressive packages that you've seen across the nation.
Has the legislature done anything about the cost of education? The fact is that the cost of getting a degree has gone up 2 to 3 times the rate of inflation.
Well, we've done some strides. A couple of years ago, we looked at zero-based budgeting for the UC system, and so we called out the UC system and wanted to come back and take a look at his budget and give us recommendations and make sure that we were okay with the way they were spending. Now, there is some cost to energy, there is some cost to employee costs, there is some cost of pensions, and those are all issues that we're taking a look at. But by and far, we've got a responsibility to tomorrow's workforce.
We have one other thing, which is a bill that you've introduced that would sort of eliminate what we saw with the city of Los Angeles, Measure S. it would keep local initiatives from being established that reduce the amount of growth, if I have that right, in the state. Explain.
Sure. It's AB 943, and it's a slow growth measure. Actually, it says that slow growth measures should not pass unless they have 2/3 of a vote. And we felt that this is really important because if you take a look at the housing crisis in California, I fundamentally believe you're not going to be able to address it if you prevent the construction of housing. And this is really important because we've taken a look at some of these slow growth measures happening across the state. They happen in San Francisco, they happen in Buena Park, Santa Monica, and now in Los Angeles. If something like this were to happen, it is absolutely detrimental to the construction of housing that we need. We're about 1 million units behind in California, and we fall back, it's estimated, about 180,000 units a year. Housing is directly related to the issue of demand and supply. And when occupancy rates are very low, we see the price of housing skyrocket. So we need to do something to not only prevent the slowness of development as it relates to affordable housing, but we actually, as a state, need to step up and encourage. In fact, earlier today, we were discussing some bills with some of our colleagues in terms of how to be aggressive in incentivizing the development of affordable housing in California.
The Honorable Miguel Santiago, member of the California State Assembly, Democrat from Los Angeles, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Up next, we remember the life of the